Okay, this is Adventure for Life. I'm Joel. This is the summary of the Northeast BDR route. I'm sitting at a hotel right now. The ride itself was great. It was 7.5 days. Each day we probably averaged 150 miles a day, something like that. If you get on the BDR website, it shows that the Northeast BDR is, I think they say it's the second hardest. We did skip a couple of there's a section of ATV trails in Maine. There's also, on day 3 or 4, we tried, I think it's called Ice Bed Road. And that was, really difficult. The stuff that we actually did, it really was just a step up from the Mid-Atlantic BDR as far as I'm concerned. And so, the Mid-Atlantic BDR is the easiest one, both per the website and, I've ridden it, and it's just not all that difficult. The Northeast BDR had a lot of forest roads that were very well maintained. We rode through residential areas in all of the states, again, where the roads were very well maintained. They weren't paved, and as you remember me joking, in one of the videos, we got on some paved roads that were horrible. Some of the paved roads were literally worse than some of the unpaved roads. And so the Northeast BDR, if you don't do the ATV sections in Maine, and you don't do the hardest 1 or 2 Class 4 roads in Vermont, which again is Ice Bed Road, and I don't know the name of the other one, but it's really not that difficult of a ride. It was enjoyable, it was peaceful. We didn't push it that hard. Again, this was a tour that we did, and so we weren't riding as hard as we were when we went out to Idaho and Washington. The scenery was pretty. It was not, I would use the word majestic, like it was out west. We did get to a couple of, kind of scenic overlooks, but, even though we were riding in the mountains, and it was, mountainous, or, the highest we got to was, I think, 3,500 feet, so these are not tall mountains. You couldn't see. You couldn't see from, the mountains in the distance and all that stuff the vast majority of the time, because we're riding in the trees. And again, that's a difference from what you're going to get out west. And so, if you want something that's relatively easy, that's very pretty, very green, very lush, then the Northeast BDR is a good way to go. I do want to talk about the bike some, so we're going to walk over here to the bike, and because I dropped the bike. This is funny. You saw on the very first video, within the first few minutes, I dropped the bike. That was the only time I went down, and but I actually did a little bit of damage to the bike, not bad, but so we'll take a peek at it real quick. I broke, there's a piece of plastic right here that deflects air. You see it here, and it goes all the way across, and I broke this side of it, so I'm going to get that replaced. And I scraped my little BDR insignia. Obviously you can see logo. Obviously you can see there's one screw right there, so this is just one piece of plastic, and so I'll have to replace that one piece. Other than that, that's the only damage that was done. And the reason that happened is because when I fell on my bike, it on that first day, it fell with the wheels uphill and the bike, the handlebars and whatnot, downhill. And so I had to spin it around, and when I spun it around, it again scraped this, and this piece somehow got caught on the ground and broke. That's it. So I'm taking it in for maintenance in a couple of days. Going to get the tires. Let's look at the tires. The course, the front tire is never as worn as the back, but that looks, you know, pretty good. Again, these are the Michelin Anarchy Wilds. We get around here and look at the back tire, and, you know, I think you'll see that there's quite a bit of wear on it. Now, there's still tread left, and if you look at the wear bar right there, I mean, it's still got a long way to go, but we put about 30, I think it was 3,800 miles total, roughly 1,300 of which was on the trail itself. And so, you know, the Anarchy Wild held up relatively well, not nearly as good, again, as the Dunlop Trail Max Mission. But the weather was nice, and you can't always count on that, so, you know, it's much more likely to be rainy on the Northeast BDR in the Mid-Atlantic than obviously out west, so you need to consider that. We did get rained on one day and part of the last day, and it certainly did make it muddier and a little bit slicker and whatnot, but it never did rain hard enough and long enough that it really was a problem. What were the high points? Let's talk about that. The high points were the Class 4 roads after Killington, Vermont, going south to north. And so this ice bed road was right before Killington, and we did 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 Class 4 roads after Killington, Vermont. They were very fun. They were challenging, but yet doable. There were, you know, a couple of guys dropped their bikes. I was fortunate enough not to, but that was great. And then Mount Washington was fabulous. It was great. If you ever get the chance again to do that on a motorcycle or a car or whatever, you should take that opportunity. Again, the weather's real sketchy up there, and we were blessed to be able to have good weather. So anyway, that's it. Thanks for joining me for the Northeast BDR, and we'll see where my adventures take me next.